Sandra, welcome to another episode of Asexualise. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that great big subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we go along if you're liking the content. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, founder of asexualise.com, founder of Asexualise Academy, and author of Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity, out on Amazon. You can click the links below after this video to check those out. And if you haven't already grabbed your Asexuality Basics for Beginners course, which is a free course, you can go to asexualizeacademy.com and you can go and log in and sign up for your very own training course all about the asexuality spectrum and about the aromantic spectrum within asexuality. So let's get cracking on this. It's a very, very special live Q&A with me, a very personal Q&A where you get to ask me questions all about asexuality and those naughty things that we don't usually like to talk about. So I've got a list of some of the most common questions that you guys want to know. And tonight I'm going to answer them live, up close and personal. So the first question, this is a really good question. Very easy question for me to answer. They do get harder. So what is the best thing about being asexual? So the best thing for me about being asexual and discovering I'm asexual is the fact that I don't have to have sex anymore like I did in the past, because I thought I had to as part of a relationship. And I thought the only way that I would get love from a guy within a relationship would be if I had sex with him. And it was pretty damaging thinking that way, because in the end, I just couldn't date sexual guys anymore because of the expectation of sex at the end of a date was just too much. I didn't want that anymore. I'd never wanted kids in my life since 15 years old, and I'd never, I never looked at a guy, even my ex, and thought I really, really want sex with you. There's never been that urge there. And so that was really important for me when I discovered asexuality. It's absolutely the best thing, knowing that I can get love without sex, knowing I've got a huge chance of a relationship now, a romantic relationship without sex ever. It is difficult getting that though. So your other question is, what's the most difficult thing about being asexual? So for me, the most difficult thing about being asexual is finding a romantic asexual life partner. Particularly in my case, because I like younger foreign guys in their 20s, and that's who I really think I'm meant to be with, a younger foreign guy. And I don't want sex, I don't want marriage, I don't want kids, and I do like living on my own. And I think that's quite difficult, especially as a romantic asexual, because most romantic asexuals, they want to live together, whereas I don't. I've lived on my own for years, and I'd love a guy to just live around the corner from me, so we'd be like, neighbours, and we could go in and out of each other's houses whenever we wanted to, but we could still have our own space and do our own thing. And most foreign guys, they want marriage, be it part of their culture, because they want a visa to come over here, and that's really difficult for me. I'm meeting some really nice young guys on ASAP at the moment. I haven't met one that can come over to the UK yet, but I'm really hopeful, and I won't give up. I've been trying to find my asexual soulmate now since 2014. So I'm on asexual dating sites on ASAP, and it is really difficult, I've got to admit, but I won't give up. I truly believe there is someone for everyone out there, and I believe everyone can experience pure love, and I believe that someone will love me for who I am and adore me, and just as I love and adore them, and I feel them in my heart, in my soul. I feel there's this person out there for me, and I've yet to meet them, and I think they're a bit lonely at the moment. I think they don't even know I exist, probably, and I feel that they're just thinking, I'm going to spend the rest of my life alone because I can't find a suitable girl for me. And I think they're really romantic. They love all the kissing and affection, but yet they can't have that because I think they're quite good looking, very good looking, and I think the guy I'm meant to be with, he's that good looking that, there are loads of women after him, yet he can't have sex. And I think that is the crux of the matter. you know. And I think that I think he's out there thinking, you know, I really want a romantic relationship. I love the kissing affection, but I don't want sex. And I think he's struggling at the moment wherever he is. And I hope one day he just turns up in my life and knows I'm the one for him, and vice versa. So that'd be so good. So yeah, you're going to ask me now, aren't you? So what was the first time like for me having sex? Thanks for that question. That's really personal. So yeah, well, for me, it was a bit sad in the sense that I lost my virginity to a guy that really put pressure on me to have sex with him. Because all his friends were doing that, and he was older than me at the time. I was 16, so you know, 16's the legal age for having sex in the UK. So you know, I'd only just become legal age, and you know, he was pressurizing me, like, if you want to be with me, you know, all my mates are doing it. And back at then, I was really emotionally swayed by stuff like that, you know, because I really wanted love, and I thought that was a way to get it. Of course, it's wrong to do that, you know. It's wrong that he pressurized me into that. He did actually years ago, later come back and apologize for that. It's the only guy that's ever apologized for treating me like dirt, basically, years ago. And so I did start speaking to him again after that. And so that was more put to rest. Do you know what I mean? So I don't go hating that part of my life as such, but I didn't like that, you know. But I was glad he was sorry. He's the only guy I've ever met in my life that's truly sorry, and that meant a lot, you know, for him to like carry that. He was obviously carrying those thoughts for a long time of how he treated me, and I was glad he got a conscience, you know, because not many people do, even though he did treat me really badly. I mean, it was bad. I mean, 6 months later he dumped me, you know, and he was a guy I first thought I might love, so that was really tough. And the experience of having sex for the first time physically, I mean, that was weird for me. I mean, people think, you know, like, people don't realise that sex is not something that comes naturally. Like, sex is so widely talked about all across society, but I think it's talked about in more of a, like, you know, like, how can I put it? More of an exploitative, sexually aware way, rather than an actual practical way. You know, people, like, the way people talk about it, it's like, oh, everyone's doing it, everyone knows how to do it, but it's not, you know, unless you know what you're doing. And, you know, it can be clumsy and fumbly and not great. Do you know what I'm saying? So don't pay attention to every single person in the world who you think's having great sex, or, you know, not that I want sex anyway, but, you know, people who think they can just do that. It does take practice to get good at that type of thing physically. Just like with anything, you know, if you're thinking about sex in a more logical way, which is an asexual person I think we do if we're going to think about it, you know, there's a lot of different components to it if you want to do it well and master it, you know, as a skill. I'm talking, like, you'll notice I'm talking very clinically about it now, because, you know, it doesn't really bother me and I'm not into it. But I had one of my exes was good at that, but all the rest were rubbish. So I think there is an art to it more when someone knows what they're doing and can please you in other ways, not just sticking it in. I have to be blunt about that. But yeah, so physically it was weird because I was 16 years old, and luckily I hadn't read any. I was completely unprepared for it, which isn't great. My ex at that time, you know, the person I was with at the time, he was prepared. Like, he used protection, which, you know, as an asexual person, if you're going to try sex, for God's sake, use protection. I'm being, you know, sorry to take the Lord's name in vain if you're religious, but I mean, you know, seriously, I know some people who have private messaged me in the past, and they're asexual, and they haven't used any contraception. And they seem to think that because they're asexual, it doesn't matter, or because they're inexperienced, it's, you know, it's one time of trying it, ain't going to matter. It's ridiculous. You should always be using protection. For one, you don't know where the person's been. They could have a sexually transmitted infection or disease. And for two, you should be protecting yourself if you've got, you know, if you can give birth, if you're a female or got female organs, you know, you should be protecting yourself against unwanted pregnancies. I mean, you don't want to get pregnant just from having sex the first time with a guy, do you? You really don't. So please be sensible. Do you know what I mean? Please don't just think you can do that and everything be fine. you know, it only takes one time to get pregnant and one time to get infected. So just, you know, be sensible about it. So yeah, I mean, I didn't know there was lots of horror stories about losing your virginity because I never intended to lose my virginity. I didn't even think about it. I was like pressurized on the spot about it. So it's not something I really thought about or ever entered my head. And that should have been a telltale sign from a young age that I was asexual, you know, that it never entered my head while everyone else was out thinking of having sex. I was thinking about kissing. I was hugely romantic. I mean, I was so romantic even back then. I used to have guys that I fancied, but I wasn't just for a few months. I mean, they were guys I felt so attracted to that I felt I loved in a way at school even, before I had my like, you know, boyfriends and such. And there was one guy I had feelings for 2 years. So for me, all of the feelings, they don't just come and go like the average person would. I guess I've always been a hyper romantic. I've always been excessively romantic. You know, if there's a boy I like, for example, in school, I would usually go and walk near where he lives, and I would just usually think, oh, I wish I could just bump into him, you know. And I used to think about the kissing and all the romantic, but sex never entered my head. And that's how I know I've been asexual all my life, and I didn't even realise it, because when I look back, all those instances, sex never entered into it, you know? I was oblivious to what other people did like that, really. I think, you know, it just didn't really enter my head. But all the kissing and the romance and all the feelings of love and, oh man, those exciting feelings, that's always been in me. It's always been something that's been central to my core being. So yeah, and obviously for other people, sexual people, that they intertwine that with sex, whereas I don't, you know. So anyway, yeah, so physically, you know, if you're a woman, it pierces a part of your skin. I'm being really personal now. So if you are asexual watching this and you're thinking about losing your virginity to just try sex and you've got female organs or are female, just to let you know, there's a flap of skin that gets pierced. I didn't even know about this. It's hugely personal to women. And I'm like, oh my God, if I'd have known that, like, I would have been scared. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'd ever even gone through with it, because I hate pain and the thought of pain, and I never even knew it. So because I never knew it, I wasn't really in much pain doing that. It felt weird. It feels like a tearing sensation and something like coming away from you. It's a bit weird. But because he was really gentle, fortunately, then it didn't really hurt, which I'm glad. But I've known other people that have private messaged me, because I get private messaged a lot, you know. It's like being a sexual expert on this channel. Do you know what I mean? Even though I'm not having sex myself, it's like I get asked about questions to do with sex and stuff for people who are not even asexual, you know, people who just want my advice because they don't know who else to talk to. You know, they might have got parents they can't talk to, they might be really young, and they want some sexual advice about having sex. And I've got years of experience of that, even though I'm asexual, because half my life was spent with heterosexuals. And you know, there's one person, I'm not going to go into the conversation, but put it this way, they were too hard doing that, and it was a nightmare. So if you are going to try that and you've got female organs for the first time, please, I'm saying this on this channel, even though there might be some sex repulsed asexuals on this channel. I'm really sorry, because I'm personally sex repulsed for me, and I understand it, and I'm not saying this to put you off or make you feel blur or anything. I'm just saying this because I'm helping all asexuals in this channel. So just if you're going to do it for the first time, just make sure that the other person does that gently to you, whoever it is, guy, whatever gender, you know, and make sure that you know, if you want to be in control of it, you make sure that you lead them and do that gently for you, because I don't want you to get hurt, you know. And if it's a guy doing that to a woman, for example, it can really hurt if it's done the wrong way, and it can cause a lot of internal problems. So I'm fortunate that I didn't have that experience, but I know people who've told me in private message the experiences they've gone through, and I don't want anything like that for you. So this is an adult channel, isn't it? Adult as in we're all sensible here. We can talk about these type of things, you know, and I'd rather talk about these type of things than just hide away from it, you know, because sadly, you know, there's a lot of stereotypes about asexuals, and you know, people don't understand why asexuals have sex, and I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's up to the individual whether they want to do it. I've had it in the past, and I can't, you know. Oh yes, the question you want to know: if I had my time over again, would I still have tried sex? Yes or no? If I knew about the pain I was going to possibly go through losing my virginity? Probably not, no. But given the fact I didn't know that a lot of the reports about pain and I didn't really feel much, and if that happened again with my no knowledge of any pain, then yes, I probably would have tried it still, even though I'm asexual, I think, because I mean, I don't know for sure, because obviously if I knew more asexuals and as part of the asexual community back then, and you know, I realised I could get love without sex, then maybe I wouldn't. But I think as I'm an asexual that's got some grey areas, so I love passionate kissing and I do get aroused, I think that I probably would have tried it to at least please my partner and see how I got on with it, I think. Because I'd probably give it a go, just because I wasn't as sex repulsed back then, and because I could physically do it, and because, you know, I probably would have wanted to try it, I think. And I think you know, you want to know if I'm glad I tried it. And for me personally, yes, I think, being honest, when I ask myself the question, I'm glad I tried it. I'm glad I had well, in part, obviously, it's a bit horrible, some of the experiences I had, but I'm glad I had it in a way, because now I'm just so sure I never want sex ever again in my life, that it just, like, you know, it's like I've done all that now, because I felt like it's part of what I needed to do, and I don't have to do it anymore. You know, does it ever cross my mind having sex ever again? Okay, so you want to know, it's very personal, the questions you're asking me tonight. So it has crossed my mind, okay, if I'm absolutely honest, because there's certain guys I really like the look of, and I sometimes would think about being in a relationship with them, but they're not asexual. And then I ask myself the question, could you have sex with this person if you were in a relationship with them, if they really wanted it, because, you know, you really want to be with them? And part of me thinks, is it possible? But I always come to the conclusion that I couldn't really go through with it. That I wouldn't want to do that again. I don't want to get pregnant for a start. And there's always that risk, always, even with protection. I know someone who was on the contraceptive pill, and a friend of mine, she got pregnant when she was 17 years old. So it didn't work, you know, properly. So there's various reasons why a contraceptive pill can't work. But anyway, her daughter is more like her sister. They get on really well. So, you know, it can turn out really good. But, you know, I don't want children. It freaks me out, the fact of the thought of getting pregnant. And years ago, I used to get pregnancy test kits just to make sure I wasn't pregnant. That's how paranoid I was about getting pregnant. I hated that part of the sex. What about if I had sex and I couldn't have kids? At this point in my life, I definitely think I wouldn't probably still want sex, but it's better if I was having sex to have no worries about having kids than having that worry, if you know what I mean. So sometimes I think, would I just try that if I couldn't get pregnant? It does cross my mind. And I'm like, well, you could do that if you really wanted to. But then I keep thinking, well, yeah, but I don't really want to, do I? Not when there's asexual guys out there. And to be honest, I can't see me ever having a long-term committed relationship, monogamous, with a sexual guy. I just don't think it'd work. I think the only way I can be with a sexual guy is for, like, if I meet someone and I trust them out when I'm dancing, to maybe have a close dance, or kiss them, maybe, but I haven't been able to kiss a guy for a long time. And apart from that guy, I did kiss a guy, didn't I, recently? I meant dancing. I haven't been able to kiss a guy dancing for a long time. But I did have a guy in the street I kissed briefly the other week, Indian guy. But he smoked, so I couldn't do anymore. Because I do love kissing, you know, and I find that really difficult as an asexual person who strongly is kissing addict, nearly, to be honest. I love kissing like a hobby, you know. And it's like, when you've not done your hobby for years or months, or not doing it very often, do you know what I mean? It's like you really miss it. That's how I describe kissing for me. It's like a really passionate hobby that I really love so much, and I would love to immerse myself in far more with the right asexual guy. But I prefer to do it inside of an asexual relationship, if I'm honest. Because I think that you can explore different parts of the kissing world in more safety and comfort. So, oh yeah, so you want to know about kissing now. What places would I like to kiss? Oh my god, you're asking all the really naughty questions tonight. That's really personal. That's really personal. I don't know if I want to answer that. Where would I like to kiss? I know where I used to kiss, and I guess I know where I'd like to kiss at the moment. So at the moment, if I was with a guy, I'd like to kiss all his, his head, his face, his lips, his neck, arms, chest, all the upper part of the body, arms, head, like all this bit down. Not below the waist at the moment. Maybe I could do the legs. I might be able to kiss his legs. Where are you reading these questions from? Where am I reading these questions from? Good question, Michael. I'm reading these questions from my head, as if you were interviewing them, and from a sheet I've prepared, which is to the right of me. So yeah. So yeah, I thought it'd just be great to do a live Q&A with all the questions you would ask me. So I'm putting myself in your shoes. So you're asking me. I thought it was just a wonderful, wonderful live stream, because most people do this, but they don't do it on a live stream. So, and if anyone wants to interject with a question in the meantime, they can. So yeah, I'm very flowy. What can I say? I'm very intuitive and flowy and creative. So I can just come up with things and just do it as if it were as it happens. I don't know how to describe it. I'm a very spiritual person, so I'm very good at ad-libbing, and I'm very good at being able to play the role of interviewer and interviewee at the same time, which looks as though you're interviewing me, which I know you are, because you're watching this and you're technically interviewing me, even though you're not doing the words, because you're not actually on the screen, as it were. But if you were on the screen. Also, I forgot to say hello due to being confused coming on. So hello. Oh yeah, hello. It's really nice to see you, Michael. I haven't seen you for ages. It's so lovely to have you here. I know there's another person I've been watching nearly the whole time as well, so that's great. So where was I? Oh, where would I like to kiss? Yeah, that's really personal. So yeah, all the upper part of the body for now. Like, I probably could kiss a guy on his legs. I could probably kiss a guy most places, but his private part, not bum, and not genital area. Yeah. I prefer the top half. I prefer not below the waist, but I could probably kiss his legs, maybe. Yeah. Because I think that'd be quite sensual. So yeah. But chest-wise, I could do a lot of kissing. A lot of kissing. I didn't think I could. A few years ago, 2014, I think it was, or 2015, I was like, not into nakedness and not into even chest kissing, but all of a sudden I just changed my mind when I kissed the heterosexual guy's chest, which I dated in 2017, and I think before that as well. But yeah, if they've got no chest hair, if they've got chest hair, it really puts me off. I don't feel like kissing their chest, to be honest. Not really. I feel like it, like I get the urge to, but I don't. It puts me off because it's like hair in your mouth, isn't it? So yeah. So yeah, I do have a list here that I prepared earlier of some of the questions. So, benefits of having sex as an asexual. That's one of the questions I wrote down. Benefits of having sex as an asexual. I found that this, I find this a really difficult question to answer because there's not many, to be honest. I would say the only benefit of having sex as an asexual person, if you are with a sexual person, is you can get more physically close to them. Like, in physical terms, logically, you can, obviously. So that's pretty much the benefit of it, if you want to call it a benefit. If you actually want in or out, do you know what I mean? Without being too blasé, unless you want a guy in you or you want to be around him, do you know what I mean? Or whatever gender you are, do you know what I mean? Whatever you're up to. So, I'll tell you something really funny and weird, but it's not funny and weird to the rest of the world, but it'll be really funny and weird to you. I didn't find out until a few months ago. I think it was last year, actually, the end of last year, that women to have sex, because I'm not a lesbian, I never have been, I've never been interested in that type of thing, but a lesbian will strap on like a rubber penis so that other women can have sex with it. It's like, seriously, my female sexual friends told me this. I'm like looking at them gone out, I'm like, what? And I never knew this, you know. This is how asexual I am. I don't, you know, I've never used, oh yeah, you probably want to know if I've ever used sex toys. I've never used sex toys. I didn't even really know exactly. I mean, I kind of had a vague idea what they're like, but it wasn't until Ann Summers. I had an Ann Summers interview. Can you believe it? Ann Summers is renowned for doing lacy underwear and, you know, sex toys and stuff like that. And I had an interview with them for a job. And I went and spent a day away doing this all group assessment. And I didn't get the job because I didn't want it in the end. I think one of the questions was, so if you got offered the job, would you like it? And I was like, no. I was thinking, why would you want that, Sandra? You don't like sex. You don't like the toys and stuff. You don't play with them. You're not, you know, it gives you the creeps. So why would you even want to do that? And I spent the whole day at this. I think that's because I was unemployed and you have to be, you know, you're expected to go to interviews if you're given them. But when they asked me if I wanted the job, I was like, no. It wasn't an experience. There were nearly all women there. There was one bloke, I remember, that went for a job there as well. But it was most peculiar experience as an asexual who doesn't like sex. I didn't know I was asexual back then, though, but I knew I didn't like sex. It was really weird. Really surreal. But yeah, so I've never done sex toys. I've never been into sex toys at all. I've never used sex toys on me or an heterosexual ex, for example, which you would have thought maybe they were interested in that. So, yeah, never got involved in anything like that, thank God. I would hate that. So, yeah, but I'm not saying that sex toys are wrong to use. I mean, I know some people use vibrators. I expect some asexuals use that if they get a sex drive, like arousal, and they want to relieve it. You know, I expect they do that. I don't think there's anything wrong in that if you want to do that with yourself, you know, if that's what you like. You know, some people use their hands, some people don't. So, you know, whatever makes you happy. It's all self-love, isn't it? And doing whatever you want. But, yeah, I've never used anything like that. And so, yeah, I don't personally think there's much benefit to an asexual having sex other than the fact you can get physically closer, which is quite logically, to your partner. And you might like that, or they might like it. The sensation of it. That's about the only thing I can think of, really. And obviously the sexual's having fun. But if you're not having fun, don't do it. Do you know what I mean? What's the point? And that, yeah, if I was to give any advice to another asexual about having sex, I would say don't do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Don't be coerced into it like I was. Don't think that you have to do it to prove it to someone. Don't think that you have to do that to be loved. I think that's the worst thing. I think there's a genuine sense throughout the whole world that if you don't have sex, you're not going to get that love from that person. But to be honest, they're not the right person to give you that love because they're not right for you long term, unless you really are an asexual person who totally cool with sex, totally fine with it, don't mind having it as much as possible. Because the one thing that I find, even with the asexuals that don't mind having sex, they do not want it as often, as frequently as the sexual person. So they still can't satisfy the sexual person enough, to be quite honest with you. And I think that's a bit of a shame, both for the asexual person who doesn't really, you know, who could live without it anyway, and for the sexual person who's really not getting enough of what they want anyway. So that's like their compromise, but really both people are not happy in that situation. So, you know, obviously if you've got a sexual person who's got a low sex drive or doesn't need it that much, it's different. But if you've got a sexual person that needs it quite regularly, you're really not into it, then but you're just doing it like once every few days because to please them, it's not a very healthy relationship. I don't think that. And I don't think you should do it if you don't want to. And I think you should look for an asexual person, albeit single. So yeah, have I got anything else on there? Right, what's the one thing you wish you can change about asexuality? Oh, right, the one thing I wish I could change about asexuality would be that more people knew about it, would be that whole world knew about asexuality, to be honest, and that every single person in the world knew about asexuality and everyone recognised it as a sexual orientation in its own right, and it was taken really seriously and it was educated about in schools throughout the world. and that, you know, you could just come across asexuals really easily, like in the supermarket, like when you're out chatting of a night, you know, like all the 1%, like the 1 in every 100 people would be so apparent. Like, you know, you'd be having like chats with like new friends and you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm asexual, and they'd be like, oh cool, right, and they might be saying they're gay or sexual or whatever, and you'd be having a decent, you know, like adult conversation about it. And you know, there might be some people who are sexual, for example, who can live without sex. I mean, there is one guy on ASAP and he's like, I can live happily sex-free life, but I'm not asexual. I mean, I was quite shocked to see that on there. He is a young guy, but I was like, 20 I think he is, in the UK. Quite cute actually, but yeah, I was quite shocked. Oh, that's good. You know, so it doesn't mean to say there's no one that can live without sex. I don't know if he's going to be like that forever. Hopefully he is, but you never know, do you, what's going to happen. But yeah, so I think that's the main thing. I just wish it would be recognised as a sexual orientation throughout the globe, and then no one would have to live in fear. I'm sure I'd be more easily able to find my asexual soulmate. I'm sure more people will be able to find the true asexual love and the asexual relationship they desire. If there was, you know, if you just was walking around thinking there's loads of asexuals everywhere. I mean, sure there is, but you know, it's not like we're apparent, is it? It's like everyone's hidden a lot of the time. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, it's like chess pieces that are overshadowed by the big king and the big queen or something. You're a little pawn, do you know what I mean? It's like, not pawn as in gross pawn, as in you're a little pawn piece on a chessboard, do you know what I mean? Overshadowed by all these bigger chess pieces, that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, it's kind of like that, I think. Oh, what's the one most shocking thing about yourself that no one knows in asexuality? Oh God, I don't know if I want to say this. The most shocking thing about me and asexuality and my orientation within asexuality, if I'm honest, it's to do with my arousal and kissing. Yeah. I can be hugely passionate without the sexual intercourse. Hugely. And there's lots of ways of being able to physically turn on someone, like get someone aroused naturally without intercourse. And I kind of like that, receiving some of that, and I like giving that as well. And so I kind of like passion without sex. And, you know, I think loads of sexuals would like that, to be honest. And I kind of think maybe I should be doing some books about that, a website about that, you know, helping people to have passion without sex. And I'm sure it would cover some of the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum, asexuals as well. But I just think, you know, like, it would be quite good because, you know, I know how to do things sensually, you know, like kissing a lot in certain places that would really arouse a person. I just feel like I should do something about that and talk about it. Not necessarily on this channel, but in other places, you know? It's kind of like I've got this really passionate, sensual side of my sexuality that both makes me feel excited yet scared at the same time. I think that's the most secretive thing and shocking thing about me, is the arousal stuff. It shocks me sometimes and it scares me, you know, like if I'm kissing a guy, I can get so aroused that my body physically hurts very easily. Actually, it doesn't take much. And you know, like I don't know how far I go with it, you know. It's like I'd say at the moment that I don't want to be kissed on my top half. In other words, breasts, right? I'll be plain and simple with it. But I've had that in the past, and to be honest, that highly arouses me. So I don't know if I'd want that again within a relationship with a partner who is loving in an asexual relationship, not with a sexual. But then, you know, if you're dating a sexual, yeah, I don't see it going anywhere. So I don't want to do that. I want to do that only in a long-term committed relationship if I was doing it at all. But at the moment, I'm not thinking that way, you know. At the moment, I'm not really into a guy doing that. I'll say, no, that's off limits. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, like, because I love kissing so much, I do get a bit, like, excited and scared at the same time of where kissing would go. As in the sense that, like, when you're kissing a lot really passionately, you can kiss, like, the neck and the ears and lots of other, like, sort of what they call erogenous zones, which you don't have to have intercourse. It's just sexuals put all that before intercourse. It's, like, leading up to it. Whereas I just like that type of thing. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff you can do like that really turns the body on, and it can make people like physically wet, and this is really personal now, without actually having intercourse. And I kind of think that's a good bridge between asexual and sexual people, if they want to come to a compromise, is that you can actually do certain things without actually having intercourse that's kind of sexually pleasurable for both people, but without doing that, if you know what I mean. Even though you're asexual, this is for the asexuals that want a lot more sensuality, that want more. I mean, even though I'm not into nakedness as such, it's for people that would be more into nakedness, more into the sexual and sensual side of the spectrum than, you know, obviously an aromantic asexual who just wants a queer platonic relationship or no relationship at all wouldn't be interested in this. But they might be interested in it from a fascinating, oh, that's interesting that some people are like that point of view. I actually met someone on ASAP for the first time that said he was asexual, heteromantic grey A, and he said, I can get attracted to you, I can get aroused by you, but I won't want sex with you. And that kind of, I really related to that. I thought that's the first person that's been close to what I say about myself. But rather than me getting aroused by the person as such, it's more by their actions or the thought of their actions. So it's the thought of kissing them, or if they're kissing me and doing physical stuff with me. But it's very, very easy, and my arousal levels are through the roof, and so it kind of hurts physically, and it's kind of scary, because I kind of think that if I was with the right asexual guy and we were, for example, on the bed, bodies intertwined with clothes on, I kind of feel, how far would that go? You know, like in the heat of the moment, would I let them kiss my breasts, for example? This is getting really personal now, but these type of questions do come up, and I think that some asexuals are probably struggling with these questions themselves, and they don't want to talk about it because it's really taboo, isn't it? I mean, there's so much talk about sex throughout society, but we don't really talk about the nitty-gritty in relationships like this, do we? We don't really talk about personal stuff like this, because it's like really, it's such personal then, whereas everyone else just talks about sex in general. They don't really personalize it. But I think it really, you know, like when you're kissing, you can get carried away. You might be kissing in all sorts of different places, you know. I mean, some people kiss all over the body, you know, like fully unclothed without intercourse. They'll kiss all the private genital areas and everything, you know, and they might enjoy that without even having the intercourse. So it's a really big thing, you know. But with me, it scares me, because I'm not sure, like in my mind, I'm like, I don't want a guy to suck my top bit or to kiss it. But if I was in a really serious committed relationship with the right asexual guy, because I did that type of thing in the past and I have been naked in the past, I'm not sure if I would let them do that, if I did actually really enjoy it, or if I would just freak out and be like, no, I don't want you touching me there. Like at the moment I think, no, I don't want you touching me there, so don't freak me out and don't go near it. Like you can go to the, you know, like you can't go below like my neckline on my t-shirt, for example. But I don't know, you know. I don't think some things you know until you're actually in a relationship with a person, because I think it's like kind of theoretical. Because I have been with heterosexuals in the past, and been fully naked, full on, you know, sex with my ex, long-term ex, and it was in a serious committed relationship, and you know, he was quite liking stuff like that, and I was just like letting him get on with it. And you know, it was kind of like, I have done all that in the past. I don't want the sex again. I don't want the intercourse again. It's because it doesn't do anything for me. That's the thing. Like, the kissing does far more for me in terms of pleasure, like if people calling it sexual pleasure, than the sex intercourse itself. You know, the intercourse just doesn't do anything for me. Like, I mean, sure, there's physical stuff going on, but it's a bit painful and it's not particularly nice, and I don't get any thrill out of it, or any, you know, it's not really great for me. There's no interest there. It's like, I don't look at a person and want sex with them, because it's not the sex I want, is it? But I do like the arousal, so, you know, and I do like the kissing, but there becomes a point where it gets, because I've got such high levels of arousal, then personally for me it can physically hurt, like throb, and also it can be very you know, it can be too much. It can be overwhelming as an asexual person, because I am, after all, asexual, and it can feel too sexual, even though I'm just, my behaviour's just sexual in that moment. It's not asexual. I think that's kind of really scary, because I know I am asexual, and it's kind of like the territory that's becoming too sexual, and then in my mind it just becomes a bit yucky, and I feel kind of like, a bit I don't know if to intimidate is the right word. I feel like it's too much. I feel like, are you being true to yourself? Are you being true to your soul? You know, like, you're asexual. Why are you doing that? Like, is it too much? And I just want to sort of like forget it all about it and like chill and don't do any of that type of thing and just cuddle my cuddly toys or watch a movie or something. Hi, Mystique. So yeah, I just think that it's very difficult as an asexual person if you have got feelings that you want to explore with arousal or kissing or sensuality and sexuality, you know. I think it's very difficult. I think there's grey areas that no one likes to talk about, because, you know, if you talk about them, people like kind of question your asexuality sometimes. It's like, well, if you're asexual, then why are you doing that? And even me personally, you know, even I think, if you're an asexual person, like, why would you, knowing that you're asexual, because I didn't know when I had sex I was asexual, why would you want to be doing that? But like I said, some people do actually want to try it, which is fair enough. It's their body and their life, isn't it? You know, and like when you asked me the question, basically, you know, would I try it if I had my time over? I probably would have still tried it. So I can't blame them for doing that. But, you know, there does seem to be some people, obviously, that aren't genuinely asexual, unfortunately, and they get mixed in, and then it's kind of hard, because it's like, who do you believe and what do you believe, you know? But at the end of the day, asexuality is the lack of sexual attraction towards a person. So that means I personally never look at a person and get the need, urge, or want for sex. It doesn't happen with me, you know. They would have to instigate that, but I don't want that anyway. Like I said, I've asked myself the question, would I have that again? The only time I've ever considered it is when I've been attracted to really, you know, like sexual foreign guys, for example, and I'm thinking, well, if you're in a relationship with them, they'd want to do that with you, and could you actually do it? But, you know, like, I can't bring myself to think I could do it, and I know that if I did ever have done that, it would just mean that I wouldn't want to do it that much, and it wouldn't satisfy them anyway, you know what I mean? And so therefore they would leave me and not be with me anyway, because they need the sex, you know, at the end of the day. So I just think, to be honest, I can't be with a sexual person, you know. I would always be thinking they would be having an affair, going off with someone else, which is pretty much what they do, to be honest. I'm going to lay it down on the line, because that's pretty much what the majority of my exes did. They went off with other people because they, you know, they need the sex and I don't. So I really have to seek out an asexual person, and I have to hope that I get someone compatible in terms of kissing needs, and in terms of that, if we do explore our more sensual, erotic behavior, if you know what I mean, or erotic sensuality, or erotic sensuality, sexuality. So erotic is an asexual term for something that would be classed as like erotic if you were doing like the sexual intercourse and interested in actually having the sex. But erotic sort of like when you could be very steamy and arousing and like doing grey A stuff, but without actually it being, you know, like without experiencing sexual attraction and without actually wanting the intercourse. That's what erotic is. It's like a asexual version of erotic. So some people who are writers, they like to write erotic stories, for example. I have never done one of them, and I haven't attempted, and I haven't even researched it. I just know that that's what they're talking about. But yeah, so it's that, I do find that difficult. I find the arousing, sensual side of me very hard. It's like 50% of me likes that, 50% of me wants to run away from it. And, you know, it's kind of like I want to run away from myself then, do I? And it makes me question myself a lot, you know? It makes me question, like, you know, am I running away from myself? Am I running away from my true self? Am I a really sensual person who wants to explore more of the body? Or am I really the type of person that really doesn't like the body? You know, I mean, at the moment, I don't like nudity. I certainly don't want to watch other people being naked on TV and movies, and that is a definite no-no. No, I don't like it in sculptures. I don't like it in paintings. I don't like it on TV. I don't like it in movies. The only time I would ever consider nudity would be with a partner. I'll just make that plain and clear now. Whenever I say I hate nudity, I do mean I hate nudity. It's only that I consider, you know, would I ever consider that again as with a partner? And that does go through my mind, you know, because I'm a very passionate, erotic, asexual person sometimes, but I don't, you know, like, clothes come off and I do start to get bored, to be quite honest with you. And below the waist is a bit, is a bit much for me these days. But I don't know if I'd never do that. If I was with a really young foreign guy, maybe I could. If I was with an older guy, which I'd never be with, I couldn't do it. I just, like, it put me off. I don't want to see old private parts, you know. I have to say, it's really weird, but, you know, a younger guy, his body is much better to look at than an older guy's, or anywhere near my birth certificate age guys. I'm just not interested in them. Sometimes I get guys near my birth certificate age looking at me, and seriously, I like think in my head they're like 20 years older than me, even though they're probably not. They might be 10 years older than me, but do you know what I mean? It's like they're just not suitable for me. I don't think like that. Oh right, so you want to know? Oh, so you want to know when I first discovered my birth certificate age versus like my mindset age? Oh yeah. That's a really interesting question. I don't know exactly when it happened. Probably 2012, I'd say that happened. So prior to 2012, I was really miserable. I was a depressed person for a lot of my life. It's even in my medical records. And I had a really difficult childhood. I had a lot of problems. I had lots of counselling throughout my life. And it wasn't until 2012 when I found out I got fibromyalgia, actually, that my life completely changed for the better. It's like really traumatic finding you got a disability for life, but it like really shook me up and stopped me being depressed, because I just knew if I continued to have that mindset that I would literally be on crutches or in a wheelchair like some other people with fibro, because I immediately knew after 6 months of coming to terms with it. So it wasn't like immediate, oh I've got to give up being like depressed now as such. It was like kind of like over a 6-month process of like when I, you know, like realised I've got a disability for life and how I was going to deal with that, and realised that no one was going to help me but myself, that all of a sudden something just snapped, and I'm like, I can't be like, I read about people being on crutches or in a wheelchair with it, and I just knew straight away that it was to do with mindset. A lot of the pain, even though the pain is real and genuine in your body, a lot of it is to do with conscious mindset. And so I knew that if I thought about, you know, being miserable and depressed, the more I did that type of thing and was depressed, and the more negative thoughts, the more stress there is in the body, the more it causes what they call a fibro flare. So I knew I had to minimize that, and that's in 2012. I guess that's when I started becoming the teenager I've always wanted to be, and never realized I was, and it's amazing. So yeah, I did that, and I just all of a sudden, that was it. Boom. Don't be depressed anymore. You can't be. Your life depends on your literally quality of life, Sandra, depends on you. Oh, by the way, give this video a thumbs up if you're liking it. I really appreciate that. You know, your quality of life just depends on it, and you can either, you know, carry on and then end up on crutches or a wheelchair or not. And I seriously never want to be like that. You know how bubbly I am, how energetic, how vibrant I am, despite fibro and despite birth certificate age and everything. Like, you know, I'm just a young girl really, and to be on crutches or in a wheelchair is just soul destroying, the thought of it. And I know that theoretically speaking that could still happen to me, but I'm doing all I can to not ever be in that situation, and also to ensure that I stay lively, bubbly, energetic. That's why I want to live on my own as well, because I can't be looking after a guy. You know, he needs to look after himself, because my energy resources are reserved for me, and being bubbly, you know, like with fibro, it zaps your energy a lot, and loads of people are quite bedridden with it or can't do much. They're quite tired all the time. With me, it's not like that, but I have strict things that I need to do to stay energized. Like when I eat, for example, every couple of hours, I'm always eating a lot like throughout the day. I listen to dance music a lot. I keep myself positive mindset as much as possible. I'm, you know, like I minimize washing up. I've got paper plates. I don't use oven pan. I don't use pots and pans. You know, there's certain things I've done, like I just use paper plates, chuck away, use fresh vegetables, more healthy anyway. I just minimize things, you know, to my life. I cannot be cooking and cleaning for a guy and having a guy come around my place using all my pots and pans and me washing up. It's not my life. So, you know, I've had to prioritize myself and completely turn my life and mindset around like that. And it was also 2012 when I first started going for my first business seminars, which is when I got into entrepreneurship, and it completely changed my life. And there's this guy called Tony Robbins. He's very, very well known in the entrepreneurial world. And basically, he got us to stand up and go around hugging people in the audience like we didn't know, strangers. like business people. And I remember hugging this guy who was really big in body mass, huge guy with a bald head with flyaway hair, and he wasn't very attractive looking at all aesthetically. And I just thought, God, if I can hug this guy, I can hug anyone. And that was when I first started being able to go in each other's spaces, like being able to hug a person. I couldn't do that. I would only do that previously with my ex, or to hug my parents goodbye. That was it. No one else, no strangers, no one. And so that was like a life-changing step for me. And Tony Robbins got us to listen to dance music, jump up and down for energy. And then all of a sudden I realised that this is what I used to do years ago for energising. That I used to jump up and down to music, vibrant, pumping, dance music, like boom, boom, boom. And it was like, yeah, why aren't I doing this? Why am I not doing this all the time in my life? This energises me. Why? And then ever since then, 2012, I've been doing that, you know? And dance music really energises me. There's lots of things that energise me, particularly music. And so that's what really changed my life. And then that's when my 21st mindset and teenager lifestyle comes from. Like, I knew then that I was going to go back to the teenager that I always wanted to be, that I always am in my soul. And that's the first time I felt connected to my soul. That's the first time I started loving me. I never thought I was good at much. I used to be really down on myself and not realise I had much skills or anything to offer the world. And with all the business seminars that are going on, I realised, I'm like, my goodness me, I know so much, like in my life experiences and my skills and knowledge, and I just didn't realise. And I remember going from one seminar for a break, and after that, I just realised that I have loads of skills to offer the world, experience and knowledge that I never thought, and I thought was pretty worthless or useless before, you know, and I was made to feel worthless, actually, not just by myself, but you know, but that's what I felt. And then it just changed, and I started loving myself. I was like, you're intelligent, Sandra. You know, you are. I didn't realise it. I never realised it. And that gave me purpose, life purpose. And then that's what started me. And then I just, you know, in that moment when Tony Robbins was doing the jumping up and down to music, and it triggered me. It triggered a memory that was like, that's who I need to be. I need to be the teenager that I was always born to be, the young, vibrant, energetic girl. And then just boom. That just happened in an instant. I haven't looked back like that. It's been my best times in my life since I lived like a teenager, you know, and since I'm true to who I am. You know, I'm not living this boring, monotonous, black and white, like, well, I am black and white girl, but, you know, like magnolia wallpaper, brown carpet girl. I'm not that type of girl, you know. And so I love my flat, you know. I love where I live. If I go out of my flat and I go to other people's houses, like my parents', it's kind of like normal. You know, normal home, and even the rest of the house that other people live in, like downstairs, that's kind of normal, and that's really weird for me. It's like going to normal land, and when I come up here, it's like my world of quirky, you know, and that's normal land. This is my world of quirky. It's like, I'm gonna get back to my world of quirky now. I feel a lot happier, vibrant, energetic. But you see, that's what I mean. I can't do a normal relationship. I can't do a conventional normal lifestyle because it's not who I am. It just bore me. Like the carpets bore me, the curtains bore me, the normal life of watching TV bores me, the going to bed at 10 or 11 o'clock at night bores me. It's like, it's just all boring. It's a boring normal life that I just would hate. It's just like, no, please put a pillow over my head and like hide from the world like that. I don't like that type of thing. You know, I'm into Disney and vibrancy and energy and power, you know. Oh, you want me to... Yeah, so to wrap up, the final question is, what advice would I give to other asexuals about asexuality? That's a really good question. Well, my advice to anyone who thinks they're asexual, for example, is to read around the subject first. Go to asexuality.org. Check out my websites, asexualise.com. Take my free Asexuality Basics for Beginners course, which is on asexualizeacademy.com. I mean, I was surprised that a guy on Avon, asexuality.org, didn't actually know some of the asexual spectrum. Like, he didn't know what grey asexual was. So, you know, even if you're asexual and been on Avon for quite some time, maybe you don't know or understand all the asexuality spectrum. So the asexualise.com, asexualise.com is a blog, and Asexualise Academy is where you can get the free video training course. It's a 9-part video training series with 14 sections in it. Video, yeah, it's all online. Get your private like members there as well, so it's cool. So you can go and check that out. But My advice for any existing asexuals, to be honest, would be to start loving yourself, who you are, and your asexuality. You know, I see people, which saddens me, in groups saying, I hate my asexuality, I hate being asexual, I hate my life because I'm asexual, you know, and it just really saddens me. You are who you are, and you need to enjoy it and love yourself for who you are. And the more you hate your asexuality, the more you'll end up hating yourself, because asexuality is a part of who you are. You know, just like a heterosexual person, heterosexual is who they are. It's part of their orientation. It's part of who they are. They're a heterosexual. You can't help being asexual. And to rip that out of your soul, to push against it and fight against it, is just going to make you sad and unhappy. So instead of doing that, I want you to turn it on its head and see the beauty of it. Think about the pure love that you can experience or have or give to some other people. You know, think about all the sex that you're not having and what you're doing productively during that time you're not having sex. You know, all the hobbies and interests you're working on. Just think of all the people you can be friends to without the actual complication of you wanting sex with them. You know, that's a benefit to other people rather than yourself sometimes. I mean, you've got a heterosexual, for example, they might be, or a sexual person, like, you know, lesbian, gay, whatever, they might be, you know, like, wanting sex with you, but you don't want it to them. But from their point of view, they can be friends with you without sex ever getting in the way, and, you know, their partner not be jealous, but their partner might be jealous of the emotional connection. So don't think you can't be emotionally connected and that be like cheating to their partner. Like, if they're always talking to you and emotionally connected to you, and their partner's not getting any sex and they're not getting any attention and they're distant from their partner, then technically speaking, they're kind of be like having an emotional affair with you. So you got to be really careful of that. But you know, just be happy about being asexual. Just think it's a beautiful thing. You know, it's who you are, part of you, and you're different. You're born to be different, and that's a good thing. You know, you don't want to be like everyone else. No one ever in the world is like another person. You know, you're always unique. There's only one of you, and I think it's just a shame that all the unique people in the world try so much to be like others when they can never ever totally be like anyone else, because no one does you better than yourself. So you just got to think, I'm glad that I'm asexual. I'm glad I'm 1% of the population. I'm glad I'm not the robot in the world. I tell you what, asexuals can see the world in a completely different way to most other people. Not just to do with our asexuality, but to do with other things. Because obviously we don't get conned by all these adverts that are going on about sex all the time. We don't get sucked into all the heteronormative world. We can actually see different things. Like some asexuals, they've got so many hobbies and interests that, you know, some sexuals will go to work, come home, have sex, and then go to bed. I mean, I have got an asexual in my group, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to like I'm going to meet this friend, and then I'm going to 1 or 2 book clubs. Legos. Heather, that's funny, thanks for watching, by the way. You know, they're like, I'm going to, I think it was 2 book clubs, they're seeing a friend, they're going to a meet up, and, you know, that was their next 7 days, and they were just so busy. And, you know, like another person's doing their study, and, you know, like I find asexuals tend to juggle multiple things at once. Like, I don't know what it's like so much in the heteronormative world anymore, because I don't really get involved in it. But I think as a general rule, like a lot of the asexuals I talk to, they seem to be having like a lot more projects and stuff, and I think that's a benefit. I really do. I think asexuals immerse themselves in a lot more other things, a lot of them, and different things, and it gives us a broader horizon. I think because we've got the ability to think differently, it can make us more creative, more attentive to detail. I think it can make us good friends as well. We can be better listeners because of it. We can be more empathetic and understanding because we are different, so we can appreciate those who are different as well. And I just think it's a beautiful thing to just be 1% of the population instead of the 99. Who wants to be the 99 when you can be the actual beautiful flamingo in the flock of pigeons, as they say. Anyway, I hope you've appreciated this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. That's the Q&A over for tonight. If you've got any more questions or you want to post them in the meantime, down below in the comments. If you want any questions answered in an actual live stream like this, please write them down below, because I'd love to answer them for you. As you can tell, I'm not really shy about answering any questions. So you can fire ahead. If there's anything I don't want to answer at all, I will tell you. No, obviously I won't divulge certain secrets that are told to me by other people. That's confidential information. I won't divulge certain things if I'm really uncomfortable with it and don't want to, but there's not much that I'm uncomfortable and won't talk to you about, because I want to help asexuals as much as possible throughout the globe. You know, that's what I'm here for. Do you know what I mean? I have sex and pass it. You know, the flirting flamingo, laugh out loud. Yes, had that. I did this. I had this inspirational post that said, you know, be the flamingo in a flock of pigeons, meaning stand out and be your beautiful self. And then Heather came up with flirting flamingo. And to say she's an asexual, oh, I don't know if you are asexual actually, Heather, but to say you support this channel and you're not interested in sex, that was a very, very asexy comment to make, saying it's a flirting flamingo. I wouldn't even have thought that myself, and I'm more erotic and I'm more sensual than you are, I think. So yeah, that was quite funny. I thought it was really funny. Anyway, thanks Michael for tuning in. Thank you, Heather. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I really would appreciate that. Thank you for sharing it in advance if it's going to help someone, you know, benefit. I'm not Q. You're not Q. What's that? Queer. I don't use the word queer for myself. But anyway, I know you're always supporting this channel anyway. Oh, you're not asexual. I think you told me that before. Yeah. But yeah, you support me anyway. You've always supported me. I love you to bits. Bye, Michael. Bye, Heather. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit that great big bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And yeah, I love you supporting me, Heather. Thank you, especially if you're not asexual. So it's great. It's wonderful. I really appreciate it. I love any people supporting me on this channel, whether you're asexual or not, you know. It's great. And Heather's an amazing person. I've been friends with her for a long time on here now, and she's incredible. We're friends on Facebook as well. So yeah, she's wonderful. So thanks, Michael, for looking. Thank you, Michael, for tuning in. Thanks, Heather. Thanks in advance for the thumbs up. That would be lovely if you can pop a thumbs up on there. And until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's, and I'll see you on the next live stream.